guys, it happened. It happened. I got to visit Japan and attend the highly regarded and talked about Tokyo Nail Expo. This is the nail show I've had on my radar since 2016, and if I'm very honest, I never had a solid plan or intention to attend. It seemed like a big deal to me and in all the ways, but it did always linger in my mind as it would be nice kind of thought. In fact, and really fun fact, I attended on 24-hour notice. And no, I don't own a private jet. I flew economy. You heard right. I only made the decision to fly to Japan the day before leaving. Absolutely wild. I know. My family and I are still in disbelief that we made it happen, and I think we're going to be for a while. In this video, I'll be sharing how this all came about, the highlights of my experience, showing you my nail haul. Spoiler alert, it wasn't as big as you would imagine. And before wrapping things up with pointers from me and some of my peers that can help you should you decide to one day attend the Tokyo Nail Expo for yourself. Let's dive in. Hey, and if you're new here, welcome. I am Paola of PaolaPonceNails.com, and I help you master gel nails using soft gel only, most often with the use of Japanese gel, of course. If you would like to continue growing with me, then at the end of this video, do consider subscribing. All right. How did this even happen? Again, it was always just a thought. But this year, we got a nudging and then an official invitation by Coco-san, owner of Kokoist products. You might be familiar. And her invitation was to visit Japan and attend the Tokyo Nail Expo in November. It all started back in March when we got together for our California educator event. Coco casually invited all of us to come to Japan for the November annual Tokyo Nail Expo. And I think for the most part, we all kind of thought, sure. But then her team sent a formal invitation to us where she mentioned there would be happenings if there was enough interest in attending, like dinners and a field trip to her manufacturing facility and also 2-day show tickets. I still said no, I know. In my head at least. Nowadays, long distance travel makes me uneasy, but there did seem to be a lot of yays among my peers, so the invitation was well received, and I am glad for that. And that was that. The warm invitation settled in my inbox, and again, I was like, then approximately 2 weeks before the expo, my husband mentioned something about plane tickets to Japan being kind of ridiculously low. I said, Japan? You know Coco-san did invite us. We got a little excited for like 2 minutes before realizing that one of our passports was expired and there was no way we were going to get it within like 2 weeks. So it was an exciting thought for the 2 minutes it lasted. Incredibly enough, the passport gets shipped to us way faster than expected, and the hubby gets an alert that tickets are still at the same record low price. We start really thinking about it and finally say, let's do it. We're doing it. And we leave like the next day. I know, crazy. And just like that, the next morning, we were en route to Japan. After 16 hours of total travel time, we landed in Haneda Airport in Tokyo. I'm totally having a pinch me moment, constantly telling my little one like, oh my gosh, right here, baby, the land of mochi, ramen, and Godzilla. The Tokyo Nail Expo isn't until another 3 days or so, but our itinerary extraordinaire, my husband, put some things together for us to keep us quite engaged while in Japan. We stayed a total of 7 days in Japan, maybe 8, and I seriously don't know because there is a 14-hour difference between us and them, so I didn't even know half the times what day it was. Our first night we spent it in Shibuya, where we enjoyed the best fresh mochi and got to experience a serene trip to Don Quixote in the middle of the night. I know, mixed reviews about the place, but seriously, we had the whole place to ourselves. It was like 2 a.m. so we were like strolling. Apparently during the day it's chaos, and it seems to be that's the reason why people don't like it. Either way, totally not our experience. Again, we had the store all to ourselves, and if you're wondering what we bought, the answer is stuff, with a big emphasis on snacks. Yeah, I think that's the main reason you want to visit Don Quixote, or Donki as they call it, to get all the different like Japanese snacks and treats. I even bought a second luggage there. That was for later shopping in Tokyo, which we'll talk about briefly. Either way, we stayed in Shibuya for about a day and a half before traveling 2 hours or so to Kyoto, where we stayed, I believe, for 2.5 days. Shibuya is very walkable, not very big, I think, so I definitely recommend you add it to your itinerary. And I think it could totally be a one-day stay or a trip, a one-day trip. You don't have to stay there from Tokyo there. Okay, so off we went to Kyoto, which seems to be like matcha capital of Japan. I even got to try a delicious matcha ice cream at this train station, which was delish. Side note, Japanese treats are nowhere near as sweet as American treats, so I personally felt like it was hard to overindulge in Japan. Kyoto's like a 2-hour trip again from Tokyo, but it is so mellow out there. It's like the backcountry to Tokyo. In my eyes, Tokyo is like New York on steroids, and Kyoto is like Los Angeles. A little bit less hustle and bustle, still very busy, but felt more livable, if I can just describe it that way. Again, it's quite the train trip away from Tokyo, but I think if you add 2 days to your itinerary or you do a little less shopping, I think it's worth it. There are certainly a lot of touristy things to do in Kyoto, which I unfortunately had to opt out of to be with the little one for a day. But my personal favorite thing was the Nishiki Market, which is like a 5-block open market where you can grab a whole array of seafood items on skewers. If you decide to visit Kyoto, you won't regret it. Just account for the 2 hours to and from Tokyo, which may allow you to catch up on some sleep anyway. All right, Shibuya, Kyoto, done. Off to Tokyo we went, or back to Tokyo we went. And then we headed to Tokyo Nail Expo, like straight from Kyoto to Tokyo. And that's where we finished our stay actually in Tokyo. We didn't really go anywhere else after that. Day 1 of the Tokyo Nail Expo. Remember, Kokoist kindly reserved tickets for us all, so I wouldn't know exactly how much they were or how exactly to get them, but there's a website and I think that's how you get them. I'll link you to that website down below if you're ever interested in attending, and please feel free to make the comment section like the chatter for this event. Just FYI, unlike American beauty shows, children are allowed to attend the Tokyo Nail Expo. I think they do have a no stroller policy, so if you have a baby, just bring your baby carrier if you decide to bring the little one along. Kokoist's director of operations met us in the front to give us our tickets. We then had to check in with the front desk to activate or register these tickets. I honestly am not sure because everything was in Japanese. They do have an English speaking person at the front, and they just guided us or guided me through the online pages on my phone, telling me what to fill out or what to skip, and then just kind of that was it. So there is help in English once you get there. I do have to mention that so many people speak English in Japan, and the few you interact with that don't, or at least in Tokyo, you can just use Google Translator on your phone, and that was very helpful a few times for sure. So in we go. The Kokoist booth happens to be right by the door. Warm and exciting hellos are exchanged, and of course these faces of disbelief. You're here, we're here, how did you do this, right? I take in the Kokoist booth in all of its glory. Kokoist has a couple of offshoot brands in Japan, by the way, that we don't have here in the US, like Gellist, which carries nail art items, and Bondis, which is a permanent bracelet jewelry line. The bigger Japanese brands built these mini stages with popular artists holding sessions. Kokoist had theirs, and I don't really think there's like these classes to go off to after during the show like we have here in the US. Again, like if you want to see a class or a demo, it happens there. Like you won't have a full certification, but it will be like a quick artist choice kind of lesson live on the show floor. Oh, when I get to finally meet my favorite Kokoist artist, Hiyo! All right, off I go to my first stroll of the oh so popular Tokyo Nail Expo. Still can't believe I'm here. I got there approximately 3 hours before it ended because we were coming from Kyoto. So this first day I just walked around and sort of slowly, candidly took as much as I could in. And the last 3 hours of the show were super chill. I really should have gotten my shopping in then, but you're a bit conflicted as a foreigner. You want to see it all and you don't want to get stuck in any line really, no matter how small it is. If I saw a line, I just kind of kept going. I mean, it was day 1, right? There should be a day 2 tomorrow. The lines at this nail show, and yes, this is a nails only show, can be as long as 2 hours. Side note, Japan does have another beauty show in May, I believe, Beauty World Japan, and that show encompasses all beauty industries. I hear it is a big deal also, so do consider that one in case you can't do November. I checked out some booths and said hi to one of my longtime favorite Japanese nail artists. You might be familiar, Ageha. And yay, she remembers me 10 years almost later. Yes, I met Ageha early in my journey into potted soft gel systems in California, approximately, again, now almost 10 years. She is an artist at heart. I mean, many Japanese are really very creative and unique, and she seems to never run out of nail art ideas. She may have been the artist that created the 3D shell design, which is now an evergreen design making a comeback every spring and summer. I say may because I remember that post on her Instagram blowing up like 4 years ago. And as I said, she's pretty unique and innovative, so she probably did invent it. Another booth I spent some time at was the Paragel booth. It was actually my husband who wanted to check it out as the booth was very unique. Part of my husband's previous work experience actually involved ordering and designing the booth space for trade shows for their company, his company. So he was like, whoa, who is that? He was like taken back by the booth. You may remember Paragel from one of my previous nail haul videos. And in it, I showcased the professional starter kit they so generously sent us a few months ago. And really after that, we lingered for just a little bit. On this day one, I only bought one thing, and that was these diamond cuticle pushers that I then sadly lost by the time we made it back to our hotel that day. It was a long day. These were like $50 diamond cuticle pushers, but the reason why I was like, give me 2 of those was because the pusher end was finely encrusted with like these diamond particles, very fine. It was so unique, and this is why you're at these shows, to see the new. Either way, trying to move past the sucky feeling of having lost them. So that was that, at least day one. But day one in Tokyo was not over. Kokoist hosted a dinner for the US squad, which also included educators and distributors from different parts of the world. It was such a treat and really unbelievable because the last time we were all together like this was in LA, and now here we were in Tokyo together. Like, who do we think we are with our international meetups, right? On day 2 of the expo, I decided to do a bit more filming and of course shopping. And I have to say this now. Yes, potted soft gel systems continue to dominate the nail scene in Japan. Remember what is Japanese gel? It is gel that is primarily found in pods and made in Japan, but a less tangible characteristic of Japanese gels is their art capabilities. Japanese gels facilitate an array of nail art techniques, and companies hold their ears to the demand from nail artists as to what function or feature they need from their gels to help them create their unique nail art. And one of the biggest artistic allurements of Japanese gel to its users is its application form from pod and brush versus just brushing on gel from a bottle. Potted soft gel continues to be king in Japan, and we fully embrace that in this channel. In fact, that is why I created the Master Gel Nails course to show you my salon method of beautifully smooth and long-wearing overlays using soft gel only. In the course, we primarily use potted soft gel, but I break down all soft gel by explaining the differences among them. Pot or bottle. It depends on the viscosity that you need from the gel and knowing what length of nails you're working on to properly support them with a gel overlay. If you're interested in learning more about this course, check out the free masterclass linked in the description box below. So on this day 2, I got there about an hour after they opened, and the lines were miles in length. The hubby and the little one were off to find Godzilla because, of course, it's Godzilla, it's Tokyo, hello. This day 2, I wanted to focus more on shopping, but I made a mistake. Well, 2 actually in retrospect. 1, I should have gotten there right after opening, and 2, I should have focused on shopping first and strolling and filming second. Learn from me here. I think earlier is the best time to get to the show on either day, especially on day 2. I think a bit of the hype dwindles down at the start of day 2, and the lines are small enough for you to shop through for the primary things on your shopping list. Well, again, I take a stroll, a little too confident that the lines will remain small. I stopped strolling to do a bit of shopping at none other than one of our faves, Leafgel Premium. Immediately, I noticed the new curing unit, which I was so tempted to buy, but I had such a limited luggage space that I sadly had to pass and just kind of hoped we would get it here in the States soon, which I think we are, via Solibu, of course. So here's what I got at Leafgel. their new base coat, which is supposed to be in between Extreme Clear and Sanding Free Plus in viscosity. I purchased the 8 grams, but they also gifted me a 4-gram jar. I'm looking forward to trying this base coat out, as I like the adhesion capability of Extreme Clear, but I always thought it could be a little thicker. And some of my students thought so too. I also snagged their 2 new brushes, the new comb gradation brush and liner and brush. We desperately needed a little thicker liner in Leafgel's brush lineup, so I'm glad this is finally here. I think a comparison between this gradation brush and the older one may be worth a comparison video. Let me know in the comments if this interests you. And lastly, from Leafgel, I purchased their non-wipe art gel, which is a raised gel for burnishing. I wanted to see how similar or different it was from my favorite one, Kokoist Accessory Bond. Just so you know, I haven't tried any of my Tokyo Nail Expo items, but feel free to check in with me in the future via the comment section to inquire on how I'm liking my new items. The Leafgel line went by pretty swiftly, but that was as much of the short line glee as I was going to experience the rest of the time I stayed on the show floor the second day. It took me maybe 15 minutes to paint in the Leafgel checkout line. By the time I was done there, I decided to check out Vetro, literally on the other side of the booth, and I delusionally thought there was no line at Vetro, and I'm like, yay, everything's going fine. I got here early enough. It turned out it was across the way and at least 3 times the length of Leafgels by this time. All I wanted to try from Vetro was the new base coat, Fuji Second, which I haven't gotten confirmation on how it will compare from Base Max and the other 2 Fuji bases, as all 3 of those are going bye-bye. So there is some replacements and some shifts in the Vetro base lineup. And this is when I realized that there was no going back to short lines until nearing closing time again. So I strolled again until I could find a booth not too busy, but with something still worthy of purchase. I don't know if you know what I mean. I really didn't need anything, but still very much open to purchasing anything, right? We're like here. I decided to just walk and take it all in. And the lines only got bigger and bigger until the aisles became crowded. I know I've already said it, but yeah, get there early within the first 2 hours of the show, or you'll just have to wait until the last 3 for things to die down. The middle hours are definitely all rush hours. I stopped at this booth with several brands, I don't know, HBAS, and they had 2 brands that were a bit familiar to me, Toys by Inity and Fleeka. It seems like Inity is a big brand that collaborates a lot with various artists in Japan, and Inity is one of Zillabu's new brand ads here in the US. Here's what I got there. A newly released spatula, and before you roll your eyes and say, come on, spatula, my friend Hiyo said I needed something like this, especially when molding my molding gel. Something she is a pro at if you know her work. This spatula is super lightweight and thin, so it is great for slicing, which is something you do to your molding gel. And if you're at a complete loss as to what to do with molding gel, I was too, which is why I decided to create Ring Bling, a course to show you 10 different designs using molding gel. I'll link it down below for you to check out. Next up from this booth, this new magnet. This magnet is different, okay? It's rounded and covered by a wooden case to protect it. And it also has this slender magnet that allows you to create curves in your design. See, they reimagined the magnet. And lastly from this booth, also from Toys by Inity, I picked up this palette with soft metallic shades. I know we have chrome pigments here in the US, but these looked a bit more soft and delicate, so I definitely wanted to try. After this booth, I headed over to the Biosculpture vendor, which was also part of another collaborative booth. I stocked up on some potted clear gel essentials, and I inquired about the Evo line, and nope. Again, bottle gel to them is a downgrade. Still quality, but slightly diluted in strength. Fun fact, I just took a refresher course with Biosculpture and look forward to using them a little bit more this year. Do note that here in the US, Biosculpture sells only to licensed professionals. Okay, a little more strolling before it was time to get my Bondist on. I seriously was so excited about this. The sweet Adina took up the videographer role while I got initiated. I mean, while I got this bondage procedure going on. It was so quick, like literally 5 minutes. They only booked like a 5-minute slot to get this little bracelet. I was a bit nervous about having this be permanent, honestly, but seriously, it is so thin and comfortable. Definitely a keeper. Yes, I had made terms with tearing it off. It was the slightest bit uncomfortable. Look how cute and thin this is. And that was all that I did at the trade show. Believe me, you could do way more than I did, especially if you are actively doing nails right now or are a beginner. There's just a different energy when you're just new at nails and being there. Being 10 years in nails and not really needing a whole bunch of things, like it was kind of like, all right, let's take it in. But I was like, I still don't want to get in a line for 2 hours. I'm in Japan. I want to go see Japan. That was the feeling. As a beginner in nails, shows make such an impact on you. So I can surely remember my first show experience. I felt like a princess, treating myself to all the things in the name of business. I want to interrupt right now because we are wrapping up. But before wrapping up, I want to share with you what 3 of my peers had to recommend or suggest to you should you think about attending the Tokyo Nail Expo. Now, my personal additional recommendation, along with the ones that you've already received in this video, would be to bring your fashion. I must tell you, as a non-fashionable person, I made sure to pack my platforms, and they were such a hit. Like, everyone wore platforms there, including Mr. Kashiwagi, aka Kokoist president. I mean, styling. And now we're listening to my peers' recommendations should you attend the Tokyo Nail Expo.
Hi, Shophouse Nails here. Here are 3 tips that I would give you if you plan on attending the Tokyo Nail Expo. First is if you plan to buy a lot, I recommend bringing a small wheeled suitcase or make sure you grab a coin locker early. There were a ton of attendees there that brought small suitcases, and I wish I did the same, to be honest. But if you don't want to wheel around a suitcase because it is a very busy expo, you can also get a coin locker. These are lockers at the expo hall where you can just put your stuff in. I just recommend getting one early because there's a limited amount. My next tip is don't wait in line too long. Lines get crazy in the afternoon, so if you're going to buy stuff, I recommend buying things either in the morning when the event is just starting or about an hour before they close. For context, I was waiting in line for about 40 minutes or so to buy from this one brand, and then I gave up. But then I went back like an hour before they were closing and there was no line. So just like take your time in the afternoon and peruse. My final tip is about buying tickets. So I know enough Japanese to navigate the website, so I was able to buy my ticket online. However, there is a place at the expo where you can purchase your ticket on site if you don't speak Japanese. And you don't really have to worry about the ticket selling out. So just buy your ticket at the door. I hope these tips were helpful for when you attend the Tokyo Nail Expo next year.
Okay, I would say my top 3 tips for the Tokyo Nail Expo are 1, wear comfortable shoes, because that leads us to tip 2, just wait in the line, no matter how long it is. There's lines everywhere. It is like Disneyland. Every single booth has a line, whether it's a 10-minute long line or an hour-long line. You gotta do the waiting work, okay? And my 3rd tip, which I thought was really interesting, is when you're watching someone do a nail demo, and you're standing around in the crowd, like around their booth, don't talk to your friends. Don't talk on the phone. Don't talk to people around you like while you're watching the demo. Just be very respectful and like mindful of everyone else around you and the presenter too. Like you're there to watch the demo and learn. You're not there to like be crazy and like distract everybody, you know? So I think those are my main 3 tips.
Hi, this is Tori from Be Lady Nails. The tips number 1, wear light clothes. Tips number 2, keep 1 or 2 bare nails for demonstration. Tips number 3, prepare a lot of money and spend them all. Bye!
On day 3 of our Tokyo stay, my husband and son went off on their excursions while I walked Tokyo and shopped. I almost didn't because honestly, I don't need a lot of things in my life nowadays, okay? I'm a homebody. I like to be in my comfortable sweats and sweaters and things like that. Still pretty, but comfortable, okay? So when I got out there, I felt like my shoes were too tight, my jeans were too tight, and I just needed everything. Well, a few things. And nowadays, I also don't know what to wear for events. Like, until I get there, I don't get a feeling for what I should be wearing. And fun fact, I still didn't know what to wear to the couple dinners that we were invited to. I was like, I hope this works. Plus, give me a break. I flew out on less than 24 hours notice, and there was urgency this day, by the way, that I went shopping. I had to walk my buns back to the hotel and catch a cab in time for the dinner with the Coco fam again, so didn't have a lot of time to think about it. Day 3 in Tokyo after the Nail Expo, Coco hosts an educator event for all of the Japanese artists, which includes a dinner party, and she again graciously invited the USA international squad to attend. And little did we know what we were in for. Apparently, every year, I think there is a talent show that happens at this event, and educators form these groups and perform, like, yes, actually perform. It was wild. We gave it a shot, or at least members of our USA team, and it was so much fun, and it was such a well done event. Thank you, Coco fam, for that invitation. But the Kokoist happenings were not over. Day 4 of our Tokyo stay included a visit to Kokoist manufacturing facility, Japan Chemitech, which I so sadly skipped on to see more of Japan. So I had to choose Mount Fuji or Kokoist manufacturing facility, and I chose Mount Fuji because it was our last full day there. Well, I'll just tell you how I heard it went. Fantastic. Coco-san again went above and beyond to make her educators feel welcome while in her home country. Not only did she make sure all were fed, but she hosted a class with her lead chemist and other members of her production team. And rumor has it, she actually closed half day of production at her facility to host us. That was so nice. I knew I would be missing out, but I soothed myself by walking over to the Kokoist Japan office in the glamorous district of Tokyo, Ginza. Day 5 and last day. Our last day in Tokyo was a half day, and it consisted of visiting the zoo. The husband and I have been zoo connoisseurs since even before our son, so we had to. And a quick stop in Shinjuku because, you know, boys and Godzilla. Off we were on our way back home, knowing that we had just had the experience of a lifetime. One last trip to 7-Eleven, because it's not 7-Eleven as you know it here in the US. It's totally different. You can eat at 7-Eleven, like personally, morning, lunch, dinner. So let's bring it all home. Should you consider visiting the Tokyo Nail Expo? Yes, and the earlier the better, so that you can really enjoy it with all of the excitement of being like a new nail tech and being in a foreign country like Japan and taking in this magnificent nail show. Because I think some of my peers also feel like me, like, I don't need everything or anything, or I don't know if it's worth the 2-hour line. So if you don't have that excitement, you're just not gonna make the commitment to shop in those lines. And yes, make sure that you also budget for an extended stay. You are in Japan. There is so much to do, eat, and see. Keep your eyes on the Japanese yen too. At our time of travel, apparently the Japanese yen was at the lowest it had ever been. So keep an eye on that. Make sure you don't go on a season that's too expensive. Ultimately, I took this trip because deep in my heart, it felt like it was this channel's birthright trip. What set us apart here in our early beginnings of YouTube, like around 2017, and then our real start in 2019, was talking about something which I thought was great, but that no one was shedding a light on like it needed to, and that was Japanese gel. I couldn't believe that I was the only one, maybe a handful of other artists, that thought this niche was so artistically fun. And I wasn't wrong. I kept going and talking about it until enough people listened. And here you are with me today, listening about an extraordinary trip that wouldn't have happened without all of the hard work that has gone into creating this channel and community. You contributed to this, and I wanted to make sure I shared this experience with you fully in this video. So a big thank you to you for making my dreams possible, and I continue to be here for you to also make yours very possible. I want to encourage you to find your voice, your niche, and use hours of specializing in premium soft gel formulas like Japanese gel as your own. Japanese gel has up-leveled my business and my life really, and that of students and peers. So by all means, partake. There's enough for all of us here. Which brings me to my next point. Make money in this nail industry. What do I mean? Just that. All of my peers who attended were not only brand educators, they're content creators and business owners of their own. They're out there like me, putting in the work. They create content. They are distributors, salon owners, educators, nail techs. They diversify their income streams to make things like this happen for them. You can too. This was by no means an all expenses paid trip. Save your money, yes, but most importantly, get out there and make more. And yes, do it within your capabilities. Manage risk, but also believe in yourself and believe that you can do it. I hope you enjoyed this video with me. If you did, give it a thumbs up to boost it up in the algorithm so that we can help more nail artists experience the joy of the Tokyo Nail Expo. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, consider watching this one up next. Otherwise, bye for now.